Hi everyone, welcome to Rike Sports. Today we're going to be previewing the upcoming darts tournament, the Grand Slam of Darts. Before we do that though, I just want to give a big shout out and congratulations to Lewis Hamilton on his amazing achievement of becoming 7 times world champion. Phenomenal achievement, and he's now equalled Michael Schumacher's record. Yesterday he highlighted again what a great driver he is to start in 6th place and go on and win the race comfortably in really difficult conditions. Well done to him. So now looking ahead to this tournament, this is one of the major tournaments of the PDC calendar year, the Grand Slam of Darts. 32 players, elite field, and they do also invite some of the BDO champions over as well, so really elite field. But really enjoy watching this tournament as it starts with a league phase. So they put the 32 players into 8 groups of 4, and they all play each other, and then the top 2 of each group qualify through to the knockout stages. So if we look at each group, we're just going to run through them quickly with predictions for who I think is going to win and be runner-up in each group. So Group A, we've got the world number 1, Michael Van Gerwen. He's not been playing at the world number 1 in recent times, as we know. Really below par, his best. He's showing glimpses here or there of him being at his best, but he's not been consistent with it. So I can't even have him as one of the main tournament favourites at the moment with the form he's showing, let alone to win the group, especially this group where he's got Joe Cullen, who is a player on fire in recent times. Won a couple of tournaments recently, including day 5 of the Winter Series. I'm going to go for Joe to top that group ahead of Michael Van Gerwen. I think Van Gerwen should still qualify as runner-up, as I think he should be able to get the better of Gabriel Clemens and Adam Hunt. But yeah, going for Joe Cullen top, Van Gerwen in second. Then going to Group B, we've got Gary Anderson. We saw he was in fine form in the Premier League, and the World Match Play got to the final there. He takes breaks more recently in recent times, doesn't play all the tournaments, but from what we saw of him before his recent break, he was in good form. So I'd expect him to comfortably top that group. He's got Simon Whitlock in there, who I think should be able to finish runner-up. He was playing well. We saw him in the World Cup of Darts a couple of weeks back. Looked in good form there. So I expect him to finish runner-up ahead of Ryan Searle and Adam Guellis. Then in Group C, this is a difficult group to call. There's some players in fine form. We saw Michael Smith, the seed there. He was winning 2 tournaments back-to-back. He won day 1 and day 2 of the Winter Series last week. We know what a great player he is. He just has this Achilles heel with his doubles, but if that's on point with his high scoring, he's very hard to beat and would be one of the favourites to win the tournament. So I'm going to go for him to top the group. Behind him, there's Rajiski, D'Souza and Lisa Ashton. This is difficult to call between Rajiski and D'Souza. Lisa Ashton on a day can beat anyone. She's a former women's world champion. However, the other 2 should finish runner-up, but picking which one between them is a tight call. I'm going to go for D'Souza. He seems to be getting better. He plays really well on the floor. He's won some tournaments there, and I expect him to get better in the TV tournaments as he gets more experience, and I'm going to go for him to finish runner-up. Then, Group D, we got the seed there, Rob Cross. Rob Cross has not been playing well recently this season, and he seems off form. So he's a former world champion. If he's on form, he could definitely qualify, but I'm going to go for an upset in this group, and not for the seed to go through in the top 2. I'm going to go for Dave Chisnell to be the winner of the group and Luke Humphries to be runner-up. Both are fine players on their day. We've seen Chisnell, really high scorer. If his doubles are on point, he's difficult to beat. Luke Humphries, young player coming through, he's getting better and better. Going to go for him to finish runner-up in that group. Then in Group E, we've got the reigning world champion, Peter Wright. Amazing player. We know he's in good form. He just recently won the European Championship. He also won one of last week's Winter Series days. So good form. He should be definitely right up there. Should win this group easily, and definitely one of the favourites to win the whole tournament. So going for him to finish top. Then behind him, it's very competitive again. This is a tight group to call. There's Ian Wright, Devin Peterson, and the recent finalist of the World Grand Prix, Dirk van Dijkveld. Great player as well. We've seen he's proven himself in recent times, even in the European Darts Championship as well, as performing well there. Devin Peterson in recent times has won a tournament recently, been performing better and better on the TV stages as well. Ian Wright, we know his Achilles heel is normally the TV tournaments, does really well on the floor, but he seems to be getting better as well on the TV stage. So that's really competitive. Who's going to finish second behind Peter Wright in that group? I'm going to go for Devin Peterson. Tight call, but I think Peterson, when he's on his game, the height averages, bangs in the 180s for fun, and I think he will come through as a runner-up there. Group F, I've got James Wade, Glenn Durrant, Watanima and Heta. So this is a really difficult group to call, because I'd say all the matches are 50-50 really. Like, Glenn Durrant is a reigning Premier League champion. He's a 3-time BDO world champion too, but he's not been in such good form since he's won that Premier League, and has quite a few early exits in tournaments, not seen much of him. So if he's in the form of the Premier League, you would definitely think he'll be in one of the top 2 to go through, but we're not so sure about that. So 50-50 matches. Damon Hetter's been in fine form. We saw he played really well in the World Cup of Darts. He played really well in the Winter Series last week as well. James Wade, solid player, as we know, won multiple titles. Not so many titles in recent times, but he seems to be showing a hint of getting back into form in that recent European tournaments that we've had. And Watanabe on his day, fast play, we know he's very difficult to beat if he gets into the groove and he's just banging the 180s in and getting them high checkouts too. So difficult one to call. I'm going to go for Damon Hatter. I think he's the form player of all of them to top the group. And I'm going to go for Glenn Durrant to go in as the runner-up and qualify. So that's my top two in that group. Group G, we've got the current man to beat, the reigning and defending Grand Slam champion. He's won it 2 years in a row. He'll be looking to make it a hat-trick this year. He's been in fine form recently. He just won the World Cup of Darts with his teammates who are actually in this group, Johnny Clayton. They won it just this weekend, sorry, 2 weekends ago. They won that. Last weekend in the Winter Series, Gerwyn Price won one of them tournaments as well. He also won the World Grand Prix. He's won the most tournaments in recent times, the last few months. So he's definitely the man to beat and the most informed player. So he should top that group easily. Behind him, as I was saying, there's Johnny Clayton. And there's also Ryan Joyce and Mikuri Suzuki, who is the reigning women's world champion. So again, she's capable of beating anyone on her day. And the others, with Ryan Joyce, he has his time here, hit and miss. If he's on his game, he can beat anyone as well. In darts right now, it's very competitive. So right through the field, even lower ranked players, they can beat the top players. So this is a difficult one to call between the other three to follow behind Gerwyn Price as the runner-up. I'm going to go for Johnny Clayton. He did seem in really good form, not just in the World Cup of Darts, but also in the European Championship. He gave Peter Wright one hell of a game there. He got to the semi-finals there. He's playing really well. So if he's in that sort of form, he should be able to get the runner-up slot in that group. But in Group H, the final group, we got Nathan Aspinall as the seed. Again, it's a tight group. We got there Dimitri van der Berg. He won the World Match Play. Really fine player, as we know as well. Ricky Evans, young player on his day, is really good, can beat anyone. And then there's the reigning BDO world champion Wayne Warren, who is a world champion and again can beat anyone. So it's a tight group to call between these four as well. Gonna go for Nathan Aspinall. He's been consistent, especially in the TV tournaments. We've seen him always raise his game there. He's done really well in the Premier League. He's a winner. And gonna go for him to top the group. Behind him, it's tight for the runner-up. It's kind of like a, I'd say you would predict it would be more between Van der Berg and Wayne Warren, unless Ricky Evans performs really well. I'm going to go for Wayne Warren to take this runner-up spot in that group. So then we move on to the knockout stages now. So the way the tournament works is the winner of a group would play the runner-up of another group. So Group A winner would play the runner-up of Group B, and so on. So that means we don't know how that's all going to work out with the seeds and who's going to play who in the next round. So difficult to call who's going to make it through to the semi-finals and finals. And on the way the tournament's worked out, Peter Wright and Gerwyn Price are in the same half of the draw, so they would not be able to meet in the final, but would have to meet ahead of the final. So they're the most two informed players. So I'm going to pick two from each side of the draw. That means I've got that difficult decision of picking between Gerwyn Price and Peter Wright, both in fine form. When they play each other, it's always a good match, and I expect them, if they do clash, they might not end up meeting. Somebody else might knock either one of them out or both of them out, so they might not end up meeting. But if they do meet, I'm going to go for Peter Wright to win. I think Peter Wright is, to me, in my opinion at the moment, he's the best player in the world. And as well as Gerwyn Price has done in recent times, I think if they're both on their A games, Peter Wright's A game is slightly better than Gerwyn Price's A game. That's just my opinion. So let's expect them both to meet at some point and both to produce their A games. It'll be a cracker of a match, but I'm going for Peter Wright just to edge it, and he's my tip to get through to the final from that half. On the other half, normally you would go for Michael Van Gerwen. As I've said, he's unfortunately not been in the form that we'd expect of him, and I can't see him making it to the final. He could get into the quarters or semis, but for that half of the group, I'm going to go for Gary Anderson. I believe it's going to be Anderson who will progress to the final and make it an all-Scottish final against Peter Wright. And then to predict who's going to win out of Peter Wright and Gary Anderson, that will again be an amazing match. They've had many great matches down the years, and I'm going to go for Peter Wright. As I say, I think he is, again, let's hope they both get to the final and produce their A games. And again, I think if they do both produce their A games, Peter Wright just has that little bit more back few years ago, Gary Anderson, we know he's a double world champion. He's a really good player, but he's not as consistent now as he used to be. I think Peter Wright is the more consistent player who produces his A game more often than Gary Anderson in recent times. So going to go for Peter Wright to be the tournament winner and be the new Grand Slam champion, and add that to his World Championship. And not long now till the big one where Peter Wright will be defending his World Championship in December, coming up soon. Looking forward to that. So this tournament is a nice build up to that one, and should be good fun to watch. Always enjoy watching the darts. Unfortunately, there's no crowd there again at the moment, but gonna get to watch it on TV. Looking forward to following it over the next week. And yeah, keep it here for content on numerous sports. Please remember to subscribe, like and share. Thank you.